The man who took over one of the most iconic companies in the world was never supposed to be its face. He wasn't a product visionary like Steve Jobs. He wasn't a showman. He didn't build Apple from a garage. And yet today, Tim Cook leads one of the most valuable companies in history, because sometimes the person who builds the future isn't the one who starts it. Tim Cook was born in 1960 in a small town called Robertsdale, Alabama. It wasn't Silicon Valley. It wasn't a tech hub. It was quiet, traditional, and far removed from the world of innovation that Apple represented. His father worked in a shipyard. His mother worked in a pharmacy. There was nothing in his environment that suggested he would one day lead a global technology giant. But what Tim Cook did have was discipline. From a young age, he was known for his work ethic. He woke up early, he stayed organized, he focused on consistency over flashes of brilliance. That mindset would define his entire career. Cook attended Auburn University, where he studied industrial engineering. It wasn't glamorous, it wasn't creative, but it taught him something critical: how systems work and how to optimize them. After graduating, he joined IBM, one of the most powerful technology companies in the world at the time. There, he spent over a decade learning the fundamentals of operations, logistics, and supply chain management. He wasn't building products, he was learning how to scale them. After IBM, Cook briefly worked at companies like Intelligent Electronics and Compaq. At Compaq, he became vice president of corporate materials, responsible for managing global supply chains. It was a high-level role, a stable career, the kind of position most people would never leave. But in 1998, everything changed. Cook received a call from Apple. At the time, Apple was not the company we know today. It was struggling. The company was close to collapse. And the man leading it, Steve Jobs, had just returned after years away. Many people saw Apple as a risky bet, but Tim Cook saw something different. He later said that joining Apple was the most important decision of his life. He left his secure position at Compaq and joined a company that many believed might not survive. It was a gamble, but it would change everything. When Cook arrived at Apple, one of the company's biggest problems was its operations. Inventory was inefficient, supply chains were slow, costs were high. Cook immediately began making changes. He shut down factories, he reduced inventory, he rebuilt the supply chain from the ground up. Instead of manufacturing everything in-house, Apple began outsourcing production and focusing on design and innovation. It was a radical shift, and it worked. Under Cook's leadership, Apple became one of the most efficient companies in the world. Products moved faster, costs dropped, margins improved. This operational excellence became one of Apple's biggest competitive advantages. While Steve Jobs focused on creating revolutionary products like the iMac, iPod, and later the iPhone, Tim Cook made sure those products could be built, delivered, and scaled globally. It was a partnership that defined Apple's comeback. But in 2011, everything changed. Steve Jobs stepped down as CEO due to health issues, and for the first time, Tim Cook was no longer operating behind the scenes. He was now the leader of Apple. The pressure was enormous. Many critics believed that without Steve Jobs, Apple would lose its innovative edge. Some predicted the company's decline. Tim Cook faced a simple but difficult question: how do you lead a company built by a legend without trying to become him? Cook made a deliberate choice. He didn't try to replace Steve Jobs. He built his own version of Apple. Under his leadership, Apple expanded its product ecosystem. The company introduced new categories like the Apple Watch and AirPods. It doubled down on services, launching platforms like Apple Music, Apple TV Plus, and iCloud. Instead of relying only on breakthrough products, Cook focused on building a powerful ecosystem where hardware, software, and services worked seamlessly together. It was a different strategy, but it worked. Under Tim Cook, Apple became the first company in history to reach a market value of $1 trillion, then $2 trillion, then even higher. But Cook's leadership wasn't just about financial success. He also changed Apple's culture. He emphasized privacy as a core value. positioning Apple as a company that protects user data in an increasingly digital world. He spoke openly about social issues, becoming one of the few major CEOs to take public stands on topics like privacy, climate change, and equality. And in 2014, Tim Cook made a deeply personal decision. He became the first openly gay CEO of a Fortune 500 company. It was a moment that went beyond business. It showed a different kind of leadership, one based on authenticity and values. But the challenges never stopped. Apple faced increasing competition. Critics questioned whether the company could still innovate at the same level as before. Global supply chains were tested by economic shifts and geopolitical tensions. Yet through it all, Cook remained consistent, calm, focused, disciplined. He didn't rely on dramatic speeches or bold promises. He executed, year after year, quarter after quarter. And that consistency turned Apple into one of the most dominant companies in the world. Tim Cook's story is not about being the loudest person in the room. It's not about being the visionary who starts everything. It's about something else. It's about taking responsibility for something great and making it even greater. From a small town in Alabama to the leader of Apple Inc., Tim Cook proved that leadership doesn't always look the way people expect. Sometimes the most powerful leaders are the ones who focus, execute, and build quietly while the world is watching. Because in the end, success isn't just about creating something new, it's about sustaining it, scaling it, and leading it into the future.
If this story gave you a new perspective, hit like and subscribe. On the CEO Stories Hub, we tell the real stories behind the world's most powerful CEOs, the failures, the risks, and the lessons investors care about. The next story is already coming, and it might change how you see another iconic company. See you in the next one.